Good evening. I'm Suz and this is Mark from World Multisport, and we're saying hello to those people watching us live tonight and those who watch this video later. So tonight we're talking about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, one of my favorite topics. So I'm actually feeling quite uncomfortable at the moment myself because we've had a bit of sick tummies in the house, and I feel like mine is going that way. So please excuse me if I suddenly disappear.
Yes,
but otherwise, I am here for the next 10 to 15.
Well, let's hope you can keep
Hold
it together. Hold yourself together. We've certainly had little Charlie first, where he had a bit of a vomiting and tummy bug, and now Finn's got it, and you're not feeling the best. And I'm hoping, fingers crossed, maybe I don't get it. But anyway, beside the point, we are talking about, yes, getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And the reason we're talking about this topic is because essentially that is what endurance sport is. It is an uncomfortable experience, whether you're doing a 5K race, a marathon, a triathlon, an Ironman. There's discomfort. And so we want to talk about why you need to practice being uncomfortable. Yeah, why you need to get comfortable with that. I'll mix my words up.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I'm certainly not someone that enjoys either training or racing, but for some reason I still do it. And I think that's partly why, is because it is uncomfortable. It's not actually an entirely pleasant experience, but the benefits of doing it and the thrill you get when you've actually pushed yourself through a hard session or a hard race outweighs the uncomfortableness of the time.
That's right. It's the appeal. It's the challenge of it, knowing that we've been able to overcome something that is primarily quite difficult and hard to do, and not really a natural thing, because our brains are designed to protect us, and we're designed to take the easy way out wherever we can. And for all intents and purposes, I think we're living in a comfort crisis. You know, we have so many things now that make us comfortable, from technology to the housing to cars. Everything is designed to make us comfortable, and I believe we've become too comfortable. So that's sort of one of the things we want to touch on tonight. You know, I believe that every advancement in technology is actually shrinking our comfort zone. So, you know, we're not inclined to then get out of our comfort zone because of all these advancements in technology. And you know, I think it is also inhibiting people getting into triathlon, running, endurance sports, because they're so used to being comfortable. And that's why today we've got things like obesity, mental health issues, diabetes, heart disease, because we're too used to being comfortable.
What I really want to know is, did you come up with the term comfort crisis, or did
No,
you read that?
No, I didn't come up with that. I wish I did. It's a good one, isn't it?
Yes, I felt that was going to lead you into a bit of a rant. So what you're saying is, and I agree with you, is we have become quite comfortable. Well, not everyone is, but people who generally do triathlons and running, you know, have a little bit of money, so you have a roof over your head. We're not talking about all of societal issues in this broadcast, but we're talking about triathletes and runners, other people into sports who have a roof over their heads, have got jobs, have got money to spend, disposable income.
That's correct.
They are living in quite a comfortable zone.
Yes, yeah. And, you know, it's like our fair weather trainers. So, well, I don't want to go outside because it's wet. I don't want to go outside because it's too hot. I don't want to ride my bike in this weather. And so we've got used to becoming comfortable. And I believe to truly get the best out of ourselves, we have to sometimes get uncomfortable as much as we can.
So where are you going with this? What has it got to do with triathlon? I mean, we could talk all day about feeling comfortable or uncomfortable.
The philosophical side of it. Well, because we have to have an ability to endure. When we do a triathlon or a running event or some type of endurance sporting endeavor, we have to have the ability to endure. And like we said at the start, that is uncomfortable.
And is that something that you believe you can train or prepare for?
Absolutely. Yep.
So it's not you were just born with it.
I think some people are better at it than others naturally, but you can practice it and get better, definitely.
Okay. So how are some ways that we can get uncomfortable and get better at being in that zone or outside?
Yeah. So a perfect example is if you look at our situation where we run group sessions, a lot of people will be quite, well, maybe intimidated or a little bit even fearful to come to a group session, because there's this, what if I'm the slowest, or what if I get left behind, or what if they're not friendly? Well, the first step is just to get along. just to go, and you will be out of your comfort zone. It'll be a bit uncomfortable because it's human nature, but 9 times out of 10 people really enjoy it, and they realize that, oh, everyone's just like me.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've seen plenty of times someone come along to a training session and they are at the back, but if they keep coming, they don't stay there.
No.
But if they'd never come in the first place and put themselves outside that comfort zone, they would have just stayed training by themselves and stayed in that same spot they are. And I think it doesn't matter who you are, everyone wants to get better.
That's right. Yep. Even people that say, look, I'm not that competitive and I just want to finish, that's great. But they want to improve their own ability. They want to challenge themselves. So it's about being the best version of themselves in a race. And yes, everyone generally wants to get better or get faster. So I think that's one way, is to come along to a group session. And on the flip side, another way is, if you love group training and that's all you do, sometimes train on your own.
Yeah, there's a bit of a mental challenge at times training on your own when you don't have the crutch of other people to help you get through a training session.
Yeah. So, for instance, we had a group run here in New Plymouth on Sunday. And towards the end of the run, it was quite cold and windy and raining and the rest of it. And, talking to a couple of the athletes, and they said, oh, I don't know if I would have got out on my own this morning if it not for the group. And that's a perfect example where, if the weather is a little bit inclement and you don't feel like getting out in it, you actually do. You go out in it, and that's a typical example of getting uncomfortable and getting used to that and building up a level of, I guess, resilience and being able to cope with it.
Okay.
Okay, so another one is, sometimes in training, you think you're at your limit. Whether you want to run for 30 minutes for the first time, or you want to swim a distance for the first time, or you're going to do 5 hard intervals, you think you're at limit. You'll always be able to go one more if you really try.
I think going back to the group training as well, that, or even having someone else overseeing it, such as a coach, having the push to help you do that extra one, where if you're on your own, you might have
Yes. So I think always knowing that there's more in you, you've just got to believe it and try. And
I think when you do push those sessions in training, it gives you that reserve and that knowing when you're on race day, and you can go that little bit further because you've practiced in training. Yes,
absolutely. Now, and we've certainly had our own experiences as athletes. When you did Ironman Melbourne in 2013, you were having a really good race with another girl in your age group, in the run. And in the last sort of 5 to 10K, you could tell, I was riding the mountain bike next to you, and you could tell that you were in a lot of discomfort, but you've been regularly practicing getting uncomfortable in training. And then with 5K to go, you were able to pick up your pace quite significantly because you practiced.
And because I'd done it in training. And, I think sometimes that competitive instinct that I think most of us have is actually a good thing. It's kind of frowned upon as a negative trait to be competitive sometimes. But I think as long as you're delivering it in the right way, getting competitive, whether it's getting competitive with yourself because you're trying to beat your own time, or getting competitive in a group because you're trying to beat other people, is only going to have great benefits for both you and that other person. Just don't cross the finish line and rag them up because you've beaten them. Be humble about it. But I think competitiveness definitely has a place in pushing yourself to get uncomfortable.
And that was a classic example where you were racing another girl in your age group where that competitive side took over, and it was because of you practicing that in training that meant you were able to push at a really difficult time in the race.
Yes. Good examples. Thank you.
So another one is, in training, we've often got a choice. So, for example, you might be going for a run or a ride. You can go around the hill or you can go up the hill. Always take the more difficult option.
I remember that was your philosophy when we were doing our own training for a while. You would say, I'm going to take the hard option each time. It was a good kind of thing because you kind of had it mentally in your head that you were going to take the harder way. And I think you even started applying it for life as well, didn't you? You're like, okay, well, there's the stairs or there's the lift. I'm taking the stairs because it's harder.
So, and these are really, really simple things that you can do every day. You know, like you say, take the stairs instead of the elevator, go up the hill instead of around the hill, or, you know, challenge yourself to do one more rep in training or to go 5 minutes longer. They're really, really simple things to do. And by doing them on a consistent basis, you actually, you become more used to and more comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
And I think the final one, and again, I think this does apply to triathlon, is learn a new skill.
Okay.
Yeah, so it might be, so at the moment with some of the people in the swim squad, we're trying to teach them to tumble turn.
Oh, that's always a fun one.
You know, or to touch turn in what's called an open turn, so turn a little bit quicker at the end. Now, it's a new skill and it's not an easy skill to learn, but it can be quite difficult. You know, you do a tumble turn and water goes up your nose and you look all funny, and, you know, you look at some people and they do it really easily, but that's a perfect example of, again, just getting a little bit uncomfortable and learning a new skill. You know, sometimes it could be riding your bike quicker down a hill, or changing the gears more fluently, or doing a flying mount on the bike at transition, things like that. So I think learning a new skill, especially as an adult, because we have natural barriers to learning as adults, we're a little bit fearful of what can go wrong compared to if you're trying to teach children something. They don't have these same barriers to learning that us adults do. So I think that's the other one that's really good, is to learn a new skill. Okay.
Well, I think that there's a lot to take away in that about getting uncomfortable in training and seeing it pay off in your racing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you race, you all want to do your best. You want to cross the line knowing that, okay, in this particular occasion, I did my absolute best. I gave it my all. I did everything I could to have the best possible race. There's nothing worse than in a race knowing that you gave up or could have gone a little bit harder, or when the discomfort started, you weren't used to it because you hadn't practiced it. And these are just really simple things that you can do, so that when you cross the line, you have that really, like you did when you crossed the line on Melbourne, that really good feeling, being really satisfied knowing you've done your best. And it's a great feeling. It's what you want. So that's why I think it was important to talk about tonight. And we could probably have a whole another conversation on the philosophical side of the comfort crisis. But I think there's a lot of metaphors and analogies that can be used in endurance sport.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that.
Well, I'm glad you made it through. You're not sick. You're smiling. So that's a plus. But thanks to everyone for watching. And we will see you next week.
See you next week.